we love as Democrats to talk about voter suppression, but there is quite a bit of voter suppression. So going back to the red to blue, the general election versus primary election argument, you know, these states are not necessarily indicative of the general election because the voter laws in the primary election are different.
Right.
And you can't, you know, when you say, oh, the youth didn't turn out, like, okay, let's look at New York State. New York State, up until this year, had the most closed primaries of any Democratic state, so much so that it has the second lowest turnout out of all the states in the United States as a Democratic state. And so you look at the youth vote in New York and you'd think there are no young people. But that's just obviously not true. Mm-hmm. So you have to factor these things in when you're saying like the youth vote is down this year and the older vote, not to mention the generational changes. And how does that flip to the general election? You know, when you don't invest in these, when you don't have open primaries and you don't have reformed primaries and caucuses, you're not investing in the generation that is not turning out. So you say youth vote is out, or you're saying you're not getting new voters. Well, they're likely not to show up in the general if they're not being invested in the primary. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if there's low turnout in the primary, sometimes that doesn't flip on the general.
Right.
You're not investing. Those people don't show up in the primary, they're not going to show up in the general, possibly.